Point Blank is brought to you by Bing Bong, the crypto exchange where you can trade with up to 150x leverage. Welcome to Point Blank. This is Panama Crypto. Today our guest is Cheds. Welcome, my man. Finally talking to you again after a few months. What you been up to?
Chilling. I'm just trying to take it day by day and waiting for Bitcoin to bottom.
Has it?
I don't know. That's a question. It might have already bottomed. I've been really bearish because, I've been really bearish since we broke that MA 200 and since we broke that 42, 43K level, like on the way down. And, I've been, and then we've been doing this long sideways consolidation for like 180 days, it feels like. And, it's like normally after a move down and a consolidation, normally you'd like, continue that move. So I've been kind of leaning that way, but I've also really been watching that MA 50, the simple moving average.
Yeah.
And like, if you go back, when Bitcoin was like topping off, that was like a big major sign that the bull move was weakening. Because on April 19th, we had that first close below the MA 50 in like several months, really since like the 8K level. So that was like a big sign. So I've been watching for a close back up above to kind of show maybe we're going to continue.
I was still bullish on April 25. I don't know why I didn't take the hint that lower low at what was it?
Yeah.
46,000.
Well,
I was like,
this
shit is gonna bounce, but I didn't know it was gonna do that bounce.
Well,
and then
it was still a higher low. It was still a higher low to like 43K in the March low. So it's like the thing is when you're in a moment and you're like, okay, I'm looking at a bullish chart. Where's the higher low? So you kind of just, it's like with a diagonal line, you keep like moving it down, and then you say the low is still intact. So I mean, I was the same way. But then I was watching to see, do we set a lower high? And we did at 60K, but I thought it would be lower at 56. It kept pushing higher, and I kept thinking, okay, maybe we're going to continue here. And then we had that big flush, but there were some warning signs. The big one was the MA 50. Yes, I've been bearish, but like right now, I mean, bulls are showing some moxie. It's like 30K was that big level to watch, right, for support. And when we broke it, I tweeted out shields up, which is like my very rarely tweet like, hey, be careful, like this isn't good kind of thing, and it dropped to like whatever 28.5 for maybe a day, right? It had like a day below. I don't know how long it was, like a day, maybe half a day, but it came back up above. So it's like when you break a key level and it should be bearish, but you get back up above it, that's a whoa, okay, now I'm gonna pay attention to that. So kind of since then we've had those clues, holding the EMA 8, closing above the EMA 34, and now the 50. I'm kind of more neutral right now than I would say bearish.
Yeah, I was leaning into more bullishness because of the on-chain data. The supply and exchanges keep dropping even since the top on April 14.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck, the chart looks awfully bearish and the on-chain data looks awfully bullish. Like I was like, how do I work with this? Because previously on 2017 and previous to 19, this sort of services wasn't that much accessible to us plebs that use them. So do you use any of this on-chain data?
So it's really interesting.
To take your decisions for trading?
I don't, but it's interesting. Like you said, most of us are unaware of it. So think about that. A lot of us were unaware of it. Then all of a sudden, a lot of people started using it in their analysis. You have a whole group of people who suddenly just believe in something because other people that they trust tell them it means X, it means Y. And that's a lot of that herd mentality. I'm sure there's some value in it because I know smart people use it. So I'll kind of put that aside. But like the way I trade is everything shows up in the chart and it kind of, washes everything in. The chart will show the supply and demand way better than, on-chain data. But it's like one of those things where I think if you're probably one of the best, that you can get some good value out of it. But most people are just reading someone else's summary of it. An article comes out. Oh, I don't want to read it. Why don't you tell me what's in it? And then I'll base my opinion on what you tell me is in the it's like the whole telephone game. So
based on somebody else's interpretation.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's when you said that until recently, a lot of people weren't looking at it. and think about how many are now. So in that period of time, did they really study it? Did they like, really understand it, what it is? Or are they just like watching a YouTuber who's confirming their bias or kind of telling them what they want to hear? Those are kind of the thoughts I have, things I think about kind of on this topic.
Yeah, it's like
What about
luck.
you? So you use it though. You like it, yeah?
I'm starting to use it for the past year and a half, but looking at it more actively on a weekly basis this year, because I was thinking like it might help to see where the top is, and it more or less helped, but not quite. I think the technical analysis helped much more to detect that the top was coming in
Yeah.
on before the beginning of May. I had
Well, yeah, big signs,
plenty,
right?
yeah, plenty
Yeah.
of signals that we were entering maybe a correction. Maybe this is
Yeah.
a correction. Maybe uh, we're gonna do a reversal and do a continuation. We don't know yet.
Well, it depends. Like, look at the weekly chart. Like, the weekly chart never broke down, and that was the
No.
thing. Like, I was watching the weekly chart, I think two Sundays ago, and I was watching for a close below the MA50 as like a pivot sign, because it would have been the first time
Uh-huh.
it closed below the weekly 50 since like 8K, and that never happened. It closed right on the moving average. So it was one of those frustrating like non-signals. Like you're always wanting the chart to give you, and hopefully this isn't too like nerdy
You
type of
using 50 and 200 or 50 or
yeah.
100?
I use 50 and 200. Some people use 100, but I use 50,
I've
200.
been using for this year like 100 and 200.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah,
See, what I tell people, whatever you use it in that same one in every chart. Like, don't use the
yeah,
100 in this
exactly.
one and the 47 in this
Be
one.
consistent
Don't like try to match it. That's weird.
or fit your bias.
Yeah, it's really easy to like do that. So, how are you playing it right now? Like, what do you think? Did you take some like trade longs or
I,
what?
I
Like, what's the deal?
was I was looking at the on-chain data, and it was like supplies keeps decreasing, so I've been adding to my Bitcoin stash
Yeah.
since I don't know 45 and since 38. So I'm basically underwater on those entries. So, but I have a large percentage of my folio on Tether still. And
Yeah.
yesterday I started adding some Polkadot and some other shit coins.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's like
Like
is it
at the end of the
trading?
day, I'm dollar cost averaging because
That's it. That's it.
yeah, it's a long term game. Because if you
Well,
put
like it's different.
your chips in and all in one time,
Yeah, no good.
you need to catch the bottom in order for that to be able to sleep at night correctly. If you dollar cost averaging, fuck it, like you just put a
Yeah.
small amount of your portfolio into a coin that you like and let it rip.
I think you have kind of a measured approach. I think if you're kind of someone who's coming in with like $1,000 and you're like, how do I turn this into 10,000?
Uh,
You're not going to dollar cost average, but what you're doing is you're taking a more, measured, a swing type of approach. You're accumulating, your dollar cost averaging into weakness, and you're kind of believing that at some point there's going to be another alt run, and you're probably dollar cost averaging into alts with relative strength, ones that have kind of outperformed other alts in the past. And like that's fine. And like for example, like ADA, like if I could there's no technician who would tell you that like buying ADA at $1 is a bad idea right now. I would dare you to find me one. Like if you look at the chart, I dare you to find me one CMT. So like find me one CMT in the world who will tell you not to buy ADA at $1. I doubt you could. Because it keeps bouncing off of that, like a well-defined level. It's had relative strength, uh, you know, dot sold, more so sold than dot, sold holding the MA200. So buying weakness, dollar cost averaging is fine. That's totally different than trying to like nail the bottom and 20 or
yeah.
50x some like
how,
random
how
shitcoin,
are
as you
you
said.
playing it?
Well, I have my hodl, which I never sold. And even as I was bearish, I still bought some at key levels. I bought some Bitcoin at like 29, 30K, even though I was expecting to go lower, because it's just like, well, it's the dollar cost just in case. So I never sold my hodl. I did not aggressively add on the way down just because I have to follow my own beliefs of what I believe is
Yeah.
going on, but I also, just in case, still accumulating. I'm accumulating.
Follow your
And I did
system.
yeah, and I did a lot of trading. I got a nice short last night in Bitcoin when it was like, this is crazy. It was like 40K. I got some
Yeah.
shorts just above 40K, and they're all done now because I moved them down pretty aggressively. The stop losses into profit. Like I
Yeah.
think it was when we were at like 36.5. I'm like, okay, I could see it kind of. We're starting to hit like a 4-hour 8 EMA. We're starting to hit kind of these pullback levels. Like even if it's bullish, it's not surprising for it to make that type of a pullback. Like think about a bull flag. A bull flag is going to have like what looks like a scary dip, but it's a necessary correction to kind of rally. So I have to be open to the idea that it's going to continue. It's going to push higher. So I move my short stop losses down. I'm completely out of them now, which is good. And I probably only got about 60% of my total potential gain on those positions. But I like to hedge myself. I'm always doing the in between, always doing the hedge. Like right now, I mean, I'm not trading it right now because I'm like doing yard work today. I'm trying to like build stuff and chill. If something crazy happens, like I trade volatility, right? You need, like, if you want to short, you need a really good rally to short into. If you want a long, you need a really good like dip.
So
That's what I don't know.
basically, have you been shit posting and taking time off from charts on screen since the
No,
top? Not really.
definitely not. No, I never. I feel like it's a dopamine rush. Like if I put out a good chart, if I put out a good observation, and I get all these retweets and likes. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm human. It's like, oh, that's cool. I like it. I hit refresh. Who's. I like being needed. Everyone likes to be needed, and I take that really seriously. So I try to be like, yeah, I'll shit post when I'm feeling emotional, but I really try to be academic. And a lot of it's just like observations, like, retest of 200, retest of 20. Like there's so many people. It's hard. Like I try to be like a guy that can give you just some clean information, and you don't have to make a hard decision and to unfollow me. That I'm really this way or really that way. I'm just trying to give people information. If I'm strong, if I feel a strong opinion, I'll probably add that more editorialization, and that can totally be wrong. What was it like? Before we had that big break above 34K and the way back up, I was like one of the only remaining bears. I was still bearish. Everyone else is bullish. I was totally wrong. I thought I would reject on the MA50 on that first test from the
Hmm.
underside. I was like thinking 80-90% is going to reject, and it didn't. So it's like, okay, I got that wrong, but that was my belief, my conviction belief. I'll share my convictions, but I don't really shit post it. Try to avoid that. I try to I mean, I've done it over time. I've done politics in my
Yeah.
feed, and I've almost completely eliminated that. And I've done like the whole thing where one of my followers talks shit to me, and then I quote tweet it, and I'm like, "Screw you, buddy!" Like I don't do that. Nobody cares about your little fights, and no one cares about your
Yeah.
politics. So I've tried to remove that, and I try to just be an academic, info, and
Yeah.
observation guy. And I do all that wisdom stuff too, where I'm
Yeah,
telling people
I
whatever.
guess in my case, I've done like a 180 after all season was over, sometime
Yeah.
at the beginning of May.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
I started shit posting and talking shit and adding nothing valuable to the ecosystem. But
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
I'm restarting my podcast now. I think the
Yeah.
bottom. I think the bottom is in. This is not a financial advice. So
Yeah.
gonna take the reins of my fucking crypto Twitter again and
Nice.
start day trading more. I've been taking easy on Twitter and trading and shorting, and screen time has been pretty low. Been focusing on hanging out with my kid and mountain biking. But yeah, I need to get this shit going. I'm getting
Well, bro,
too.
you're doing it right. You look at that last 70 days of chop. You could have just chilled and done nothing and like
Yeah.
waited for it. So it's like balance between life and shit posting and trying to like,
I guess it helps to have taken profits on the way up. I
yeah,
think that helped a lot. Unlike on 2017 that I didn't, and it sold just a little just to make ends meet. But this year was
yeah.
pretty good by far.
Man, it's crazy. It's like, what do you take profit on? Because it's like, if you believe Bitcoin's going to 100K, do you sell at 80K? Do you sell at 2070K? Like these alts you had to take profit on. Like when XVG, XRP, TRX were like ripping, mid
Yeah.
to late April. It's like, okay, if I was in those, I'm going to take some profit on those. Um, because those make those bigger, obviously bigger swings than Bitcoin. That's why people play them. But it's like, what do you do if you believe it's going to 100K or 500K? Do you take profit? It's really hard. It's really hard, to do that, to take profit.
I think it's good to take partial profits if you're really confident. Still take
Yeah.
partial profits because you don't know if they're gonna find a vulnerability on the code. They're gonna hack it. The head dev is gonna dump on you or gonna do a rock pull. You
Yeah.
never know. Like we're in the riskiest market that economy has ever seen. So if you're making money and you're already in the money, you just might as well take profits and divest into something that might not lose value as quick.
It's interesting because I study the old timers, and the really like the real like veteran traders.
Peter
Like, yeah,
and
exactly. And
company.
like, and him and other, like, not just him, but is the thing is they say is like, cut your losers. Everyone knows that, but let your winners ride too. And it's like really hard for me. They say some of their best wins are the like mega ones they never sold. But also I preach like taking profit, because every time you take profit, each future decision is easier. So I'm trying to just figure out that sweet spot. Everything is that sweet spot, but it's really hard to let a winner ride. Not some people can do it, and I'll admit, not one of them. That's something I'm working on. Because I'm more of a grinder. I like to bank the profit. I can turn the computer off and go have like a meal, and then just live my life, but and not think about it, right? Not worry about the position. But it's something I'm thinking about. The whole concept of letting winners ride, taking profit. That sweet spot.
The problem that letting the winners ride is that, in my experience, like 9 out of 10 projects in crypto fail. And
Yeah.
if you
But
don't
what
take
time
it,
frame? But over what time frame, right?
the majority in less than a year. Like you see the hype at the beginning, the chart goes crazy at the beginning, the first 3 months, then it dies down and it never recovers. So basically, the majority of the people think like, hey, this is a great project. Think about it. Like most of the projects fail in less than a year, less than 2 years. Like look at the charts on most of the crypto tokens out there, and it's enters its hype phase. Three first months, it hypes like crazy. It pumps. That's where you take your initial or partial profits, and if you think it's gonna go up, like let the rest rip. But in my case, I try to ride the initial wave, and if I leave any bags, I leave like a tiny moon bag just in case.
That's
But it's
smart. It's really
but it's
smart.
really
Yeah.
hard to pick up the long-term winners like Run, like Haven, like I don't know,
Luna, look what Luna did,
El
or Graphite
Primus,
GRT,
like
right?
XS, you see E-Gold, all those coins that well, look at ADA, like it has no actual use right now. It doesn't have even smart contracts deployed right now, and it's
Right.
pumping. Like
Yeah.
I don't know fundamentally what is valuable about ADA right now, because
Yeah.
like if you compare it to actually projects that have working products like Polkadot, Ethereum, Solana, and the list goes on and on and on. If you compare it to ADA, like it looks massively overpriced, in my opinion.
Well, let me ask you a question. Like, let's say that's true, and let's say like I agree with that, which I actually have no idea, but I would assume it's true because I've heard it or whatever. But does that mean you shouldn't buy at $1 if that's a clear demand zone and it's giving you that $1 to $1.50 bounce every time? You know what I mean? What do you do? What do you do if like the chart's telling you one thing, and you also know this is a piece of junk? You know what I mean?
In my case, I like to take into consideration fifth, like if I exclude on-chain data, if I take 50% into fundamentals and 50% in the charts, and I waited.
Yeah.
If the fundamentals are shit, like Ripple, I try
How
to
dare
avoid.
you?
I try to avoid trading it.
Yeah. That's
And
smart. It's
if
smart. Yeah.
there was on-chain data, I would divide equally the weight of those tools you have: technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and the on-chain data.
So you got a lot of people do have that combined approach. I know some of the best traders do. And I couldn't tell you. And that's the thing. Like, I couldn't tell you that's the right way or the wrong way. I tell, like, with, I have my way and that's what I teach, but like there's a million different ways. And I
Yeah.
tell people, like, if your way works,
Yeah. Use what
awesome,
it works.
right? For you, right? And don't be, if some other guy has a different strategy, like that's his strategy or her strategy. You know what I mean? Like, you got to figure out what works for you, your risk tolerance. Do you like Elliott waves? Are you Ichimoku trader? Are you on chain with moving averages? You got to kind of,
What helps you
yeah.
sleep at night?
Oh, some good medicine, brother, or a good workout that day,
Yeah, also. So what do you
Yeah, I
think
know
about
exactly. Yeah. Tell
this
me.
tether FUD?
Which one? The latest one? Because I've been
The
hearing
one from yesterday. Like, it's pretty
yeah,
funny because Bitcoin pumps on Sunday night, and Monday at first hour, FUD on Tether.
always. I don't really think much of it. It's just like, what is it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. People
Yeah.
keep coming to me with, "Hey, look at the Tether FUD." I'm like, okay. Like, if it's FUD, if and when it's real, we'll know. Like, until then, like, I don't care, because it's just, who do you listen to? Who's right? Who's wrong? It's like, who's okay. You want to argue about who's going to win the Super Bowl game a year before it happens? Fine.
The
But
Buffalo
let me know when
Bills.
the game happens. Let me know when the game. Sure. I mean, they win every year, right? So let me know when it happens. Let me know when it happens, and the actual match. And then I can comment on it. Like, all this speculation, like, let's just see, whatever, a headline, right? Is it the headline? Did the person who wrote the article even write the headline? Is it misquoted? Is it fake? All this stuff, like, whatever. People trade on headlines. Who cares about the headline? You want to care about the reaction, right? What's the market's reaction to it? And usually that first reaction is an overreaction. So you have all these, like, general concepts that you kind of, that's how I filter those things. There's so much I don't know about. So I focus on what I do, which is,
Do you
supply and
actually
demand.
trade the news or no?
I try not to. I find that when I do trade the news, I do poorly. And it's hard not to, because it's like the human nature comes in and it's like, oh, that's awesome. Apple is going to switch their whole payment system to Bitcoin or whatever. And I'm like, I'm in. Like, if that happened, I'd be like, you can't not buy that news. But what if it's like Baskins and Robbins ice cream, or just something you've never heard of?
Yeah.
And then there's a pump, and that's like,
I'm pretty curious to see a news from last year that PayPal was admitting cryptocurrencies on their payment service. I would
yeah.
love to see the volume these guys are pulling, which I haven't seen anywhere.
Yeah. So listen, so I heard when that came out, and there's some really smart people I listened to talked about how big a deal that was. And maybe I was watching, like, Josh Brown, downtown Josh Brown was like doing a podcast. I like that guy. He's smart. I like that guy. He's smart. And maybe he mentioned it. I think, oh, okay. And then I took that piece of information, and maybe in the back of my mind, that allowed me to FOMO more, or that allowed me to, like, buy the top of a pump. Like, it's hard to, you know what I mean? It's hard to separate those two things. It's hard to separate the concept that PayPal's move will help over a 3, 4, 5, 10, 20-year period, with the price action now in the channel right now, in relation to support and resistance, in relation to momentum, right? All that good stuff, in relation to sentiment. It's hard to, to blend that all in.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty hard to filter even good news nowadays, because even major broadcasting news sites fall for the common pump and dump.
yeah.
The news are, I don't know, these
The
days.
rush to be first. It's a rush to be first rather than a rush
They
to
don't
be
even
right.
check the sources, or if it is a
Yeah. Yeah,
reliable
exactly.
source, or if it's a misquote. And
Well, even
nowadays,
if they know it's, yep, sensational, right?
anything can, like, move the markets. Like, you see Elon's tweet, the Elon talking in the Bitcoin conference the other day,
Who?
like Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, right, exactly. So I hate that. I don't, like, are we decentralized or not? You know what I mean? Like, if some dude can, from his phone, from the toilet, type out a few words and, like, move millions of dollars, like, something's not right. Of course, major political figures can do that, right? If they're powerful enough. I mean, I understand that. If, like, Jerome Powell came out and said, whatever, XYZ, but, like, Are we decentralized or not? You know, that's what, and the market's still new. It's nascent, right? It's still developing. How can we
Only
have
10
an
years,
ETF?
man. Like it's pretty
That's it.
new.
That's it. Yeah. So, how can we have an ETF, right, with that kind of volatility? How can we? It needs to stabilize. Like over time, as with more regulation, Bitcoin will stabilize.
I don't know what it takes to have Bitcoin as an ETF. You tell
A
me.
certain market cap size, a certain, from what I understand, you're asking the wrong guy because I suck at fundamentals. But from what I've read and understand, a certain size market cap, capitalization, or a certain size of the total ecosystem, right? Dollars flowing through, and then a stability to it. So it has to be big enough and stable enough such that kind of the more modern, financial instruments can kind of put their tentacles and suck profits out of it from retail traders.
Sounds like a plan.
It's what's going to happen. It's like what's most likely to happen usually happens. And the whole thing with the simplest explanations is most likely true. I think that'll happen over time. More regulation, it'll become more mainstream. It'll become less cool over time. You know what I mean? For the kids who grow up and it's always been around, it's not cool. It's not as cool. For those of us who know it's new and know it's disruptive. So there's something, you know what I mean? It's like with a music band that goes, quote unquote, sells out, and then they got to kind of go mainstream and all that stuff. It'll become more mainstream and less cool and less volatile and more used and more mature. And hopefully we'll still be around to talk about it.
Yeah. When at the point where it doesn't move when Elon Musk tweets about it.
That's it. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Where it moves.
I think he's clearly making profits out of his tweets, a la John McAfee.
Yeah.
Rest him in peace.
Rest in power, John McAfee.
Yeah. He's doing the same shit. I think he was late, like what, 6 years, 8 years, and now he's taking advantage of it and stashing his sats and pumping and dumping the fucking market.
Dude, if it was me and you, and like you were my homie, right? And we knew each other from back in the day, and I'm Elon Musk, I'd be like, yo, like I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. Like you're not, if someone's making money, it's friends. We're humans. Everyone, like we put these people on pedestals, we deify them, we make them gods out of them. No, we're just flawed humans. We're animals. We're smart animals. We still scratch ourselves. We still sniff ourselves.
Elon Musk was my Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. For a lot of people.
I said a couple of years back, like he was Batman, and we didn't know about it. Now he's the fucking Joker.
Now he's like Harvey Dent, Two-Face.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? In Batman, was it The Dark Knight or whatever? Yeah. So I don't like that. I don't like people who kind of want to come in and mess with it.
Batman movie was that one, The Dark Knight.
They make it look like a joke. People like that make it harder for it to be an ETF by demonstrating, like what he's doing with Dogecoin and stuff like that. Like stuff like that makes the whole scene less serious, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know why still people in crypto scene take him seriously. Like every time he tweets anything about him, like it retweets and subtweet him, like he's posting anything important or anything relevant to the scene. It doesn't. It is not.
Cult of personality, right?
Yeah.
Total cult of personality. And I think he does some great stuff and he's got loyal followers. I think that's human nature. We have celebrity worship going back, since the beginning of time, since modern humans, probably 70,000 years ago. And so it is just an extension of that. I think people see him as having FU money. They like that, kind of do his own thing, make his own. If he doesn't make his own thing, it's human nature. So it's not surprising, yet it is still incredibly frustrating.
You just remember me of this song of Living Color, Cult of Personality, which is a great song.
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's about your range of
cult of personality. Yeah, 100%. Well, don't you think it's true, right? It's really true, right? Because it's escapism. It's we see in them everything we'd want for ourselves to be. It allows us to forget about the fact that we can't pay for taxes or pay for our medicine, or our loved ones don't love us, or our bosses are disrespecting us, and we're fatter than we want, and all these things that people kind of are always, we're bubbling around, our self-doubt, our lack of self-fulfillment, our lack of purpose, sense of purpose, everything that people deal with. And we see this guy, that guy made it, I want to be this guy, I want to. So it's a great escapism. It's totally natural. I just wish Elon would stop messing with my market.
Yeah, stop messing with us. So changing a bit of subjects, Cheds, can you talk us about your recent book, Trading Wisdom? Why would somebody like me would buy it?
Well, you don't need a book. You should write a book first of all.
Man.
But so I don't know. I mean, why should you buy it? I think if you're interested,
I rather read from somebody smarter than me, not dumber. So
well, I don't have any recommendations for that. I don't know anyone smarter than you, but
go on, man. Thanks.
So I'd say, like, if you're interested, here's the book, by the way, Trading Wisdom, right? 50, it's behind me, 50 lessons everyone should know. And basically it's like, here's the lessons, here's the chapters. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like the chapters are like how to keep a trading journal, selling and moving on, how to fight your FOMO, profit taking, trading with confidence. So a lot of it's like the psychology aspects. So it's like a third psychology, a third risk management, and a third technical analysis. So I used to play poker. I was an amateur poker player. I was good enough to grind it out, right? I'm a grinder. I have a psychology degree, so I think about everything as psychology. Everything is like human emotions, human nature. And I'm also a CMT.
That's a great set of skills for a trader.
It's worked out okay, right? And I'm CMT, so I understand the rules of classical charting and Japanese candlesticks, Eastern and Western. I've read all the textbooks. And so, like, the book is like the lessons I learned from all of that. Like, when I studied for my CMT lesson test, I had like a test guide in my notes, and I took like the rules, the laws from that, the things I learned, and I put them in the book, the really important stuff. So it's like a really good, I think it's the best trading psychology book in the market. I say that, I'm very proud of it. The reviews are unbelievable. So check out the reviews. It's like 4.8 out of 5 stars. People really like it. It's sold really well. But people are telling me it's helped them. It's huge. Like, people, it's unbelievable. I never thought I would do this well. Like, people are sending me a picture of them with the book, and they're like in Venice, Italy, on like a gondola. Or here's a picture of me, and I'm in the Caribbean reading your book. I'm like, that is awesome.
Amazing.
Can you imagine? It's just mind blowing.
Congrats, man. Very happy for you.
I took
you're an influencer already, like a major one. Yeah. You're like 60th influencer.
I'm very blessed. I'm lucky to be where I was. I only discovered crypto in 2017, and like 2 months after that, I got diagnosed with cancer, right? And I eventually wrote the book on my cancer journey, and because of crypto, I was able to not focus on cancer. And so now I've become this crypto guy. And someone tweeted at me earlier, "Oh, you're an early adopter." Like, I'm not an early adopter. Like, Tone Vays is an early adopter, right? Like Roger Ver, whatever. Like, I came in 17. I think I'm kind of like late to the party or whatever, but I know TA, and I've been able to apply that and psychology. And I've been doing the whole like helping new traders avoid my old mistakes, and that's like all the like avoiding the FOMO and how to scale in. And so I had all these writings throughout the years. So when I wrote this book, I just took a lot of the stuff, the material I already had, and I was on a mission. I'm telling you, and it was really fun to write. Now that it's out, I'm thinking about fishing. I want to chill. I don't want to, stress it. I'm trying to remove stress. Stress will kill you. But why would you buy the book? I'd say, I think it has a little something for everyone. It's, each chapter's like is bullet points, little things. It's not like it's not like filled with too many words. I get right to the point. And there's a free series on YouTube, my YouTube channel, Cheds Trading. I do one chapter every 3 weeks, and I explain it. So you get kind of visuals, and I talk about it. So if you're not sure, go to Cheds Trading on YouTube and check out the free series for the book.
That's really cool. What are you doing, man?
It was fun. It's work. It's a way, because like some people can't even get it. Some people are in like I think like Turkey can't get the book, or some of these countries you just can't get it. So it's a nice way to get people the book.
It's in Kindle, right?
It's on Amazon. It's on paperback and Kindle right now. I'll probably do like an Apple iBook at some point. People are asking me for Audible, but I'll get to that, man. It's like the summer. It's time to enjoy nature.
It's time to go out.
Yeah.
Some screen time off from that.
Just to balance. I actually have a camping trip coming up where my wife booked a camping place and there's no cell. And we're there for 3 days. And I kind of threw a fit. I'm because I'm
Where are
addicted,
you going?
really.
Yellowstone?
I'm going to somewhere in New Hampshire.
Oh, nice.
And there's like zero cell. So my Twitter feed won't see me and I'll be twitching. I'll be like shaking from the lack of internet and lack of like looking at the Bitcoin chart. So that's, we'll see how I'll try to adapt, but it's the time of year to do that, I think, to kind of break away for a little bit.
It's good to take some time off, man.
100%, 100%.
Especially in summertime, it's really nice outside in the US right now. Some warm weather.
A lot of rain, though. We had a lot of rain. You've got it depends where you are, wildfires and weird stuff, but it's been warm. I mean, that's the time to go to USA, definitely, in terms of like the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't come in January.
My wife is dying to go to Yellowstone in summer.
Yeah, I'd love to go. I want to do a national park. I've been kind of looking at doing that. I think everyone did that with COVID. A lot of people, instead of flying around, they started doing the whole national parks. So I think those are crazy busy now, which is good. More people need to get back towards nature and enjoy our national beauties.
Yeah, it's pretty hard for many people that are secluded inside their apartment for months on. For us that are in crypto, it's pretty easy because
exactly.
This is our bread and butter. But for the majority of the other people that do not sit on in front of a computer most of the day, must be pretty fucking hard. Like harder than I can say.
Well, we're social creatures, right, by nature, and we often thrive with that human interaction. Not everyone is that way, of course, but I think for a lot of people, they thrive in that. Seeing their friends at work. Have you ever heard people talk about their work husband or the work husband or girlfriend? It's just like you have these close relationships with people at work. You go there every day. You're in the trenches with them. Now it's Zoom calls, and you might not even be wearing pants.
Yeah, or doing something that I shouldn't be doing.
Doing something you shouldn't be doing. Why does that person keep covering the camera? What are they doing? So that's the thing.
That's the only thing I miss from my 9 to 5. Like actually hanging out with my boys from work.
Yeah.
Going out to lunch, fucking around, going to grab a cup of coffee, talking shit. Like here is different because you don't have that physical interaction. Like it's
totally different, right? It's totally different, and we're adapting, and hopefully it's not like a new normal or whatever. But we have to adapt, and it's sad, it's tough, and like kids, I know we talked earlier, we both have kids, and 5, 6, 7, 8, you should be at school with other kids, like learning, life, learning humans, and Zoom doesn't cut it.
At least here in Panama, like schools are not mostly open, like majority are still closed, even universities, which is pretty insane because vaccine is already being rolled out. Like for me, it's just if it happens, it happens. Open everything up, cut completely the quarantines. Like this shit is gonna be here for quite a while, so the war is not gonna stop over COVID.
It's a tough balance of how much you open, how much you close, how much you balance personal freedoms. This has caused hopefully a good conversation among honest people who are willing to have an honest conversation about what that balance is. And you see people really sharply often in one corner or another, either really pro-vaccine, either really against it, either really pro-mask, either really against, either really, and it's tough.
I think every extreme is really bad. I have a clear example. My mom is extremely religious, and my son is in drum class. And I was telling a friend that I met at my son's music class, like my mom actually threw my brother's guitar over the apartment because he was listening to The Doors, Pantera, Metallica when he was a teenager. So she was really extreme in that sense. And we bother her all the time over that. every extreme is pretty bad. Like we cannot argue against that. So people that are like pro mask, it's cool, man. Like you can keep your mask, tell people to wear your mask, but you cannot force other people to wear a mask. You cannot force other people to get the vaccine. If they don't want to get vaccine, it's on them, not you. So take it easy. Like I vax, but I'm not forcing everybody to take the vaccine. Like, come on, man. Like we all are
No.
different. We're at the stage in humanity that we
Yep.
must accept everybody's decision. So
Yeah, I'll tell you where I'm at, and then some people can say I'm crazy or not. I mean, I think everyone should take it, but I don't think you should ever be able to like obviously force someone. I mean, that's ridiculous to take it. I mean, that's ridiculous. But like if that person is like a doctor, I think you either take the vaccine or get a new job. So there's a thing, right? Where I don't think you should be forced to take it, but you should have the choice to either take it or, choose to get a different job. So I always try to find that middle ground where I understand why people won't take it, even though I think they really should take it. Right.
There's a thing called natural selection. So let that one run and let the virus take whoever it wants to take. Period.
I guess there's some news coming out about Bitcoin, about Binance. Are you seeing that? Right now, they just announced they are, because everyone's tweeting about it. Ledger, Hasaka about it. They're removing their withdrawal limits from 2 Bitcoin down to 0.06.
Holy shit. That's
per
major.
day. And you have to KYC as well.
I'm already KYC'd. So.
And then I saw you already KYC, and then I saw yeah. So I wonder what's going to happen. That's interesting because they're a big player. So it'll be interesting to see any market reaction. So here's an example of like news. I want to see how the market reacts to that news, really more than anything. We'll see. Man, it's been bullish. It's been a nice little bounce, but it's also just bounced up to the top of that, like that big rectangle, right? The 42K resistance and the 30K support. Maybe we just go camping until it breaks one of those two levels. What do you think?
It's that camping season here. It's awful rainy season down in Panama. Yesterday I went to ride my bike in the woods and it was fucking soaking wet and muddy. And last night I came home and didn't look what was on the washer machine, and I threw all my shit in there, my socks, my dirty shirts and t-shirt, and my wife's Dr. robes were in there. So they're all now brown, and I'm sort of homeless.
Well, I'd rather be homeless in Panama than a bunch of other places. I'll tell you that much.
So why do you think, changing a bit of topics about what FTX have done lately, man, they raised 900 million from investors. They brought in Tom Brady as ambassador and gave him some equity, which is pretty fucking amazing. And not so good, they decreased the leverage to max 20x, which I'm seeing some other exchanges replicating, like Binance.
So I think clearly they're major players, right? We're seeing them. They bought the stadium, right? They had the stadium, not bought the stadium, but they got the naming rights, right?
They bought for what was it, 10 years? The Miami Heat.
Yeah. So and it's interesting though. You can't even trade in the U.S. I think with them, so they're buying U.S. stuff. I'm hoping they're positioning themselves for a time and place when you can trade them freely in the U.S.
But they have FTX US, where you can trade, and Blockfolio. I think you can also.
Yeah, but maybe there's limitations on what you can do. I'm not sure, but from what I'm thinking, they might be doing is getting in now, and they just have to buy off some politicians. That's all you got to do here in the U.S. is you get in there.
I think they already have the 2 feet inside the door.
They have 2 feet inside the door. Once you get in and you start donating to these campaigns and you donate to both sides, they're going to eventually get regulation that will allow them to be used, as long as taxation and KYC and all that good stuff.
Sam is the smartest guy in the room by far, and
you think so?
I think he's been playing his card all right since the beginning. Like funding the Biden campaign, one of the biggest donors to his campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has the the government in his pocket, or at least
As much as you can, or the
as much as it's possible.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, that's what you have to do. I think, generally governments will allow Bitcoin as long as they can tax it. It's just like anything else. I think they would have, if it was going to be killed, it would have been done 3, 4,
long
5, 6
time
years
ago.
ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the perfect time to do that was in Trump's government.
In 2018, maybe just kind of after the top, maybe that's a time. But I think it's here. It's still around. I think once it's more integrated and it can be taxed, it'll become more mainstream and less cool and less volatile, and just another option like Venmo instead of, well, I don't know, but it will be integrated and it will be less really weird and less cool. The question is what happens with like DeFi and what happens with these like fringy altcoins. Just regular ones,
what is fringy altcoins?
like XVG, something that just like
Ah,
whatever,
okay,
right?
okay. The
You know,
Monero and
sure,
CEC, SEC, Zcash.
Theta, Theta or Zcash, or I mean, Theta is better than a lot of those, but just the fringy stuff that just people trade just to trade. It's just a vehicle for speculation, the whole greater fool thing. So the question, I'd be interested to see what happens with those. I think it's much more. I think it's easier to handicap what it's most likely to happen with Bitcoin than what is likely to happen with those other ones, right? Because they're not going to write legislation to help XVG be traded, but like Bitcoin, right? Because it's part of the system, it's part of some ETF, it's part of some mutual fund, it's part of the blah blah blah. I think it's more predictable to see that being kind of brought into the umbrella of the global financial system and more kind of stabilized. But like XRP, who knows, or TRX, that's like a fringy one to me, right? TRX or whatever, BTT, the spinoff or whatever. So interesting to see what happens. Like, are we still talking about shitcoins in 5 years? Or is it really just
shitcoins are not gonna go anywhere? Like,
yeah,
they've been in the scene since close to Bitcoin inception, and that they're not gonna go anywhere for sure.
But it's probably different ones. Maybe it's the different ones
Yeah,
we're talking about, right?
it's the endless cycle. Like we see new shitcoins in the endless cycle every year.
Every time, pretty much every major top. Yeah, you see those screenshots of what the top ones were 5, 6 years ago, and so it's interesting to see it evolve, obviously. And these exchange coins too. Like, look what BNB did. It went to like $600, $650.
Yeah. On that respect, like I see the future of Binance uncertain with all
Yeah,
this new regulation and across the board in
right.
many countries.
And
Like,
what's going on with China too, right? China's like clamping down on the whole free market now. I mean, with like that thing with Tencent, the music company, they can't something about like restricting their ability to have like rights to some. I mean, China's basically trying to slow things down, right?
the US should take advantage of this and
Yep.
fucking have a completely open free market. The complete opposite what China is doing.
As much as you can. That's the balance. You have to the
Like
balance between
cryptocurrencies is the new fucking internet. Like, how can you stop it? Like, you can't.
You can't stop it. It's decentralized. Yeah, I mean, so when China shut down all that mining, that's an opportunity for other people to mine to kind of spread it out and make it more decentralized. So I think that's a good thing. China can't now shut down mining, right? Because they've already shut it down.
Yeah, and if you look at the hash rate, it hasn't completely recovered from that dump, but it's back on the on what it was early last year. So I guess all miners that are not within China are starting to absorb that factories that are mining in China are starting to put new rigs on there. Yeah, we're basically back into the 100 levels in hash rate.
So the market's adapting. I think that was a big FUD, right? That was a big what if, right? What if China bans it, mining, and People say, oh, if China bans mining, Bitcoin's going to $2,000. Right?
Yeah, it actually happened. It was like the worst case scenario and it didn't
Yep.
go to zero. It actually stayed above 30K. And
Yep.
that was the, how do you call it, the bullish selling.
It was bullish selling, so that's something you have to think about. So that I actually know, I definitely saw that and I thought about that. That's a good sign for Bitcoin. It is more mature. It's more decentralized. We don't want one country. We don't want Elon to move it with the tweet. We don't want one country to destroy it with some, with any kind of a policy maneuver. So that's good. That shows a maturing of the market.
I think this is it, my man. I want to thank you for coming on season 2 of my podcast. You already been here once. I really like your insights, your jokes, your shitposting, your charts. I hope this is not the last time, man.
No problem, buddy. Of course. It was fun to be here, bud. I love all those FF tweets from you with the lovely ladies. That's what you're best known for. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you share with us the links where we can find Trading Wisdom, your Twitter handle, and your YouTube channel?
So maybe you know me. I'm probably best known on Twitter at Big Cheds, BIGCHEDS. I'm on YouTube at Cheds Trading. So you can go to Cheds. You can go to YouTube. You can see the free video series and the book. I also do like an educational webinar every 6 weeks, just to really give people some really strong free TA. But I can only do it, every 6 weeks because I'm a founding analyst at Bitcoin Live. And I do twice a week, really long form educational videos there. So check that out. Trading Wisdom's on Amazon. Just Trading Wisdom. Type in Trading Wisdom, or just Google the words Trading Wisdom into Google. It's the top result. It's translated into Spanish and French, but 99.9999 repeating of the sales are in English so far. But there's an option, for those. So just check it out on Amazon. It's on my Twitter account. And, maybe I'll write another book. We'll see what happens.
Thanks for listening. Until next time. Peace. This episode was brought to you by Bing Bong. No matter what the market is doing, Bing Bong has something for all traders. You can trade crypto, forex, commodities, global indexes, and copy trading. Join now at partner.bingbong.com/Parama.